Carl Jung's view on the birth month includes how an individual's time of birth and astrological influences can shape personality, life's journey, and psychological development. In this video, we will talk about how the meaning of your birth month can change your entire life according to Carl Jung. Carl Jung and psychological archetypes. Carl Jung developed a profound approach to understanding human psychology, following a path different from traditional psychology. According to Jung, individual consciousness represents only the surface of human psychology, while the collective unconscious lies much deeper. In this collective unconscious, there are common psychological traces that have been shaped evolutionarily and transmitted from generation to generation throughout human history. Jung describes these traces as archetypes. Archetypes are universal and timeless forms that represent the fundamental experiences of man from the beginning of life until death. Archetypes can be defined as ancient images and symbols that are inaccessible to conscious thought, but have a profound effect on personality. Jung's views on archetypes focus on how the archetypal figures that appear in various forms in the human unconscious influence and direct the development of personality. These figures offer a deep insight into fundamental human issues, such as internal conflicts, the meaning of life, the search for identity, and personal growth. Although Jung considers archetypes as the building blocks of individual psychology, he also believes that these figures have universal qualities. The similarities between people arise through these archetypal images, and similar themes are seen in all cultures, different religions, mythologies, fairy tales, and arts. Jung describes archetypes as a type of universal psychological construction and explores how they play a role in giving meaning to the conscious human world. People interact with these archetypes throughout their conscious lives, confronting and internalizing them over time. According to Jung, the influence of archetypes in our lives often occurs without us even realizing it. These figures play an important role in shaping our personality, decision-making, human relationships, and the way we face the challenges in life. The most well-known examples of archetypes include figures such as the mother, the father, the wounded healer, the hero, and the shadow. The mother archetype represents an internal theme of compassion, care, and love, while the father archetype is associated with authority, power, and protection. The wounded healer is a figure that illustrates how a person can heal their inner pain and provide healing to others. The archetype of the hero includes themes of courage, struggle, and victory. Jung holds that when these figures come into contact with the conscious mind, they increase an individual's potential for growth and development. According to Jung, each individual relates to these archetypes in different ways. The archetype that dominates a person's personality influences how that person sees the world and what type of life experiences they have. Archetypes help individuals reflect their internal unconscious dynamics in the external world. However, Jung also noted that these figures are simply part of the unconscious, and sometimes these archetypes can manifest in negative or harmful ways. According to Jung, the function of archetypes is to guide the individual toward the process of psychological maturation and self-realization. When the individual becomes aware of these archetypes, they have the opportunity to discover themselves in a more integrated and complete way. Jung's discoveries provide important guidance in psychological therapies as well as in the processes of personal development and in the search for the meaning of life. The relationship between the zodiac and the birth month. The zodiac has existed as an ancient system of beliefs and prophecy throughout human history, and this system has played an important role in determining personalities, life paths, and individual characteristics. In reality, the zodiac is composed of 12 signs, and each sign represents a specific moment when the sun is in a direct position. These zodiac signs have been accepted and associated with human life in many different cultures, from ancient Greece to India, from Mesopotamia to China. It is believed that the zodiac shapes the personality of individuals because the positions of the planets and stars at the moment of birth can determine the basic tendencies and the psychological composition of a person's life. The birth month is an important indicator of the zodiac sign of the planets, especially the sun and the moon, at the moment of birth within this cosmic order. Therefore, the zodiac and the birth month can have a profound effect on a person's inner world and behavioral patterns. Each zodiac sign represents a specific period of time, a personality, and a particular worldview. For example, Aries is associated with a bold personality, oriented toward leadership and assertiveness, while Taurus reflects a patient character, a seeker of stability and steady progress. Cancer is defined by emotional depth and a love for home life, whereas Leo is the symbol of pride and self-confidence. Each zodiac sign carries with it a set of emotional, mental, and physical characteristics depending on its element: fire, earth, air, water, and its ruling planet. For example, the ruling planet of Aries is Mars. In this context, the birth month is not limited solely to the effects of the zodiac signs, but also affects a person's relationship with the world. For example, a person born in winter may naturally be more introverted, while a person born in summer may be more extroverted, social, and energetic. The relationship between the zodiac and the birth month is not limited to the direct influence of the sign. The positions of the planets also deepen this relationship. Each zodiac sign also represents an area where a planet may be strong or weak, and these planets can influence important topics and decisions in one's life. The zodiac defines the main periods in an individual's life, periods in which the individual faces a particular aspect of their developmental journey and makes important decisions. For example, a person born under the sign of Aries may face themes such as courage and leadership early in life, while in later, more mature years, they embark on a more introspective search. These transitions reflect the individual's spiritual evolution, shaped by the influence of the birth month. As Jung emphasized, human nature has a complex structure, and individual personalities are shaped over time through internal transformations and conscious choices. The relationship between the zodiac and the birth month also provides an important key to understanding people's unconscious tendencies. Each zodiac sign contains a set of internal questions and psychological themes related to specific areas of life. These themes manifest in different areas, such as a person's psychological health, their relationships, their career, and their personal goals. The zodiac, like a map, can help people understand the dynamics of their own inner world. The birth month is a special area of this map and plays a key role in shaping a person's overall tendencies. Personal psychological impact of the moon. The moon has had a great influence throughout human history since ancient times. Each of the 12 zodiac signs covers a specific period during the sun's annual movement, but the influence of the moon is much deeper and is considered an instantaneous and changing force in Jung's psychological theories. The personal psychological influence of the moon goes beyond merely being a physical planetary movement. It takes shape as a power that reaches deeply into the human soul. Jung states that the moon plays a fundamental role in the inner world, the unconscious, and the psychological structure of the individual. The moon particularly affects our emotional side, helping us reach the depths of our unconscious and our internal conflicts. The position of the moon at the moment of birth shapes our emotional reactions, our need for security, and our relationships with the archetypal figures of the unconscious that are among the most fundamental structures of our personality. The personal psychological influence of the moon extends far beyond our conscious thoughts. The moon is known as a planet that primarily affects an individual's emotional life. The movements of the moon determine spiritual states, emotional fluctuations, and the basic psychological needs of a person. In particular, the position of the moon at the moment we are born reflects our search for emotional security and the early forms of relationship that we establish with the world. For example, when the moon is in a water sign, especially Cancer or Pisces, it indicates that the person's emotional world is deeper, more intuitive, and more emotional. A person with these placements may be much more sensitive in their search for security, approaching the world with empathy and compassion. Such individuals often are sensitive to the emotional needs of others and may feel the need to protect or help them. The influence of the moon in these signs means that individuals derive their emotional security from inner peace rather than from elements of the external world. In a sense, the moon forms the emotional center of the person, and strengthening this center is very important for a person's psychological health. The personal logical influence of the moon also shapes a person's perspective on their past, family, and early experiences. The moon can be considered a reflection of emotional memory and personal history. This planet maintains a conscious or unconscious connection with the individual's past. The moon is closely associated with the moment of birth as well as with important events in a person's life and early childhood experiences. Jung emphasizes that childhood forms the cornerstone of an individual's personality, and that the moon shapes our emotional responses during this period. The position of the moon at the moment of birth shows how we react in relationships and what kind of security we seek in love. For example, the placement of the moon in Leo may cause the search for love to be based on pride, recognition, and appreciation. These people want to feel appreciated, loved, and valuable. The personal logical influence of the moon deeply affects the way we seek love and security in the external world, how we conduct this search, and our quest for emotional fulfillment. The personal psychological influence of the moon represents the deep, intuitive, and emotional forces that exist in the inner world of man. This planet determines how individuals navigate their emotional world, the unconscious, and balance. The moon is directly related to the past, the maternal figure, and the search for personal security. This understanding from Jung provides an important key to understanding individuals' psychological health and spiritual evolution. The influence of the moon offers people the opportunity to make profound internal discoveries for conscious healing and transformation on their developmental journey. The moon can serve as a guide to face the darker sides of the soul and to find inner strength. The collective unconscious and the power of the moon. One of Carl Jung's most important contributions to psychology is the concept of the collective unconscious. This concept goes beyond the individual unconscious and describes a common structure shared by all of humanity. Jung maintains that a person's psychological structure is not only made up of personal experiences, but also includes common experiences from all of human history that have been shaped by evolutionary processes. The archetypes in the collective unconscious are symbols of these common experiences and exist on a universal level, beyond the personal consciousness of individuals. According to Jung, these archetypes take shape as common traces of human history, mythologies, legends, and cultures, and play an important role in the spiritual development of individuals. These universal figures can be defined as deep psychological images that have settled in the human unconscious and have been integrated over time. The moon is at the center of this collective unconscious, and the power of this planet touches the most ancient and universal layers of the human psyche. The moon occupies an important place in the collective unconscious, not only in the physical sense, but also on a symbolic level. From the beginning of history, the moon has been associated with emotional evolution, feminine energy, and the depths of the unconscious. The different phases of the moon symbolize the processes of change and transformation in human life. The shadows are the dark aspects of a person that they have repressed in their unconscious and have not accepted. When the light of the moon reveals this darkness, a person can enter a process of inner transformation and healing. Through this confrontation, according to Jung, the archetypes of the collective unconscious direct the personal development processes of individuals and indicate important turning points in their lives. By influencing this collective archetypal realm, the moon plays an important role in the spiritual evolution of individuals. The influence of the moon has a profound effect on the unconscious processes of individuals. Those who are particularly sensitive to the moon's cycles find themselves more easily and achieve spiritual growth through the changes in these cycles. With this power in the collective unconscious, the moon functions as a guide in the spiritual development of individuals, allowing them to understand their internal conflicts and spiritual changes more clearly by directly relating to the moon's cycles. The influence of the moon reveals the evolutionary processes of man through these collective symbols located in the most ancient layers of the unconscious. Jung holds that individuals consciously shape their lives by establishing relationships with these archetypal figures in the collective unconscious. In this process, the moon enables the activation of figures, symbols, and mythological narratives in the collective unconscious. The influence of the moon in the collective unconscious is an integral part of each individual's spiritual development, and this influence creates a starting point for great transformations, healing, and inner discoveries in one's life. The power of the moon in the collective unconscious is a factor that profoundly affects the spiritual evolution of man. The moon causes archetypal figures to emerge and take shape in the collective unconscious, not only on a personal level, but also on a social and cultural level. According to Jung's views, the moon functions as an important guide in the process of discovering one's own inner world and the unconscious. The symbolism of the moon represents emotional security, the dark aspects of the unconscious, and the processes of transformation. The moon is a powerful planet that shapes the spiritual evolution of individuals and societies through its deep influence on the collective unconscious. Birth month and personal development. The birth month is an important factor in a person's personal development, and according to Carl Jung's psychological theories, it is one of the factors that shapes the deep structures, archetypes, and emotional foundations of the unconscious. The moon, with its position at the moment of birth, can determine a person's spiritual nature, personality, and the main themes of their life journey. Jung's concept of the collective unconscious is not limited to the psychological structures of individuals. This concept is a structure that delves into human history, and the position of the moon at the moment of birth is considered an individual reflection of this collective unconscious. The birth month determines the basic components of a person's character, their emotional responses, their need for security, and the transformation processes in their life. The zodiac sign and the position of the moon reveal what kind of inner world an individual has, how they seek emotional security, and how their deep psychological needs are shaped. It is considered that the moon is the representative of the emotional center of a person's inner world. The sign in which the moon is located symbolizes the person's emotional needs, their quests, and their relationship with their darker, unconscious side. According to Jung, this guidance can be a force in the spiritual evolution of man, leading him to the depths of his unconscious. The birth month also sheds light on all the important turning points and internal changes that an individual encounters on life's path. This placement invites one to become aware of their own emotional responses, traumas, and major transformation processes in their own life. Personal development is associated with the symbols offered by the birth month, and these symbols guide the individual on their spiritual journey. For example, the moon in Taurus leads us to seek physical security, stability, and a solid base in the material world. The moon in Taurus pushes the individual to seek security in concrete areas where they find emotional peace. However, this search for security can also sometimes lead us to be overly cautious. With the moon in Taurus, one can achieve inner peace by balancing emotional security and patience. The moon in Cancer causes a person to seek emotional security within family relationships and home life. In the process of personal development, this placement may require the individual to engage in deep internal exploration to heal emotional wounds and embark on a journey toward achieving emotional independence. The birth month determines how an individual finds their place in the process of personal development, as well as in the social and cultural context. Since the moon is linked to the need for emotional security and nourishment, it is also important to understand how societies and cultures influence the inner development of individuals. Jung's concept of the collective unconscious refers to a common psychological structure that applies to all of humanity rather than to an individual life. The birth month, as an individual reflection of this collective unconscious, can determine how an individual relates to cultural values and social structures, and how they express themselves in that context. The position of the moon helps to explore the societies, cultural norms, and values to which one feels emotionally attached. The birth month has a profound influence on a person's personal development. The position of the moon determines the individual's emotional world, their inner journey, and the processes of major change in their life. Jung's concept of the collective unconscious plays a key role in understanding the universal influences on the psychological makeup of the birth month. The moon serves as an important guide in the inner world of man, both on a personal and collective level. The birth month invites the individual to understand their own emotional responses, traumas, and internal conflicts, while guiding them toward a process of personal transformation and self-discovery. Discover the meaning of your birth month. Discovering the meaning of your birth month is an important step to understanding a person's deepest emotional and psychological needs, their inner world, and the themes that define their life journey. This discovery goes beyond the mere astrological position of a person at the moment of their birth. It also establishes a profound relationship with Carl Jung's concept of the collective unconscious. According to Jung, the collective unconscious is an unconscious memory shared by all humanity and is shaped by archetypes, universal symbols, and mythological themes. As a reflection of this collective memory, the birth month reveals which themes, symbols, and psychological dynamics are dominant in an individual's emotional world. Discovering your birth month is like drawing an internal map. This map helps a person better understand their personality, psychological structure, emotional responses, and unconscious shadows. The birth month is a tool that brings to the surface themes from the individual's unconscious. The zodiac sign and the placement of the moon determine the individual's emotional world, their need for security, and their deepest desires and fears. The moon symbolizes the most intimate aspects of personality, hidden emotional needs, and deep unconscious motivations. Jung believes that the unconscious is an important factor that shapes the individual. And the birth month plays a critical role in the journey of personal development as an expression of this unconscious. The sign of the moon shows where the main conflicts, desires, and potentials for development in a person's life are concentrated. For instance, the moon in Cancer indicates a personality that seeks emotional security in the family and home, while the moon in Aquarius highlights the individual's need for freedom and innovation. These different placements offer important clues for understanding the evolution of personality. Discovering the meaning of the birth month also sheds light on the turning points in an individual's life. The moon forms the emotional core of the personality, so the birth month shows how significant events and emotional experiences from a person's past leave a mark. The moon is an archetype that reaches the most fundamental layers of the unconscious, and the early experiences that play an important role in a person's life, especially childhood, are directly under the influence of the moon. According to Jung, although individuals may not consciously remember their childhood, they carry strong traces of that period in their unconscious. The moon in Virgo may mean that emotional development is an analytical and logical process, but this can cause the individual to repress their feelings and intuition. The birth month provides the opportunity to recognize such tendencies and establish balance. Discovering the meaning of your birth month also implies a deep exploration of the social and cultural context. The moon is associated with social roles, family bonds, and cultural norms. Jung's concept of the collective unconscious is linked not only to individual psychology, but also to the cultural structures of societies. The birth month reveals how a person occupies a place in the social context, what roles they assume, and the effects of these roles on their inner world. For example, the placement of the moon in Libra may lead one to seek harmony and balance with others. The moon in Libra indicates that the native tends to be compassionate and harmonious with others, but this search for harmony can sometimes lead them to repress their own emotional needs. Beyond social roles, the birth month helps an individual understand how their identity is expressed and constructed. Discovering the meaning of your birth month is a very important step in the emotional, psychological, and spiritual development of an individual, as the moon maps the individual's inner world, while also offering the opportunity to delve into the depths of the unconscious. This discovery can initiate processes of personal transformation, inner healing, and self-awareness. The birth month acts as a guide that helps a person understand themselves more deeply and explore the broader themes of their life. When combined with Jung's psychological theories, the birth month allows an individual to connect with archetypal figures in the collective unconscious, creating a profound meaning and understanding in their spiritual journey. In this video, we talked about how the meaning of your birth month can change your entire life, according to Carl Jung. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more content. Thank you.